Cultivation, WN, Chapter 33, Awakening of a Dragon. Master. When the girls downstairs noticed Elderland's presence, they greeted her. Where's Su-Yang? They suddenly asked, nearly causing Elderland to choke. Su-Yang is actually in a very serious condition. He was poisoned after consuming something he shouldn't and is currently in a life or death situation. Never in Elderland's life would she have expected herself to make such an excuse in front of her own disciples just so she could secretly cultivate with an outer court disciple. Just thinking about it caused her body to tremble in shame. What? How could that be? He looked perfectly fine when we spoke with him. Is there anything we can do to help him? Master, you must heal him. I don't want to live life regretting that I wasn't about to ahem. Although she had expected such reactions from her disciples, they still managed to make her speechless. I will naturally heal him, but it will take some time. In the meantime, I need everyone to ensure that nobody will be bothering us for the next few days, not until I come down. I don't care who comes, turn them around. Su-Yang's life is on the line here. Elderland spoke in a stern voice, her expression as serious as it could get. It was so realistic that nobody there doubted her words. They nodded with a serious expression. Don't worry, Master, even if the heavens fall, we will make sure that neither you or Su-Yang will be bothered even the slightest. Her disciples said in a clear voice, their bright eyes showing assurance. While Elderland felt bad about deceiving her own disciples, she wasn't willing to expose the fact that she was actually going to engage in dual cultivation with Su-Yang, as it would surely become a scandal. Very well, then I will be going now. Elderland turned around and began walking upstairs, her heart beating with every step she took. The anxiety she was feeling at this moment overwhelmed her, causing her to sweat profusely. No matter how mature she may look or what her cultivation base was, she was just a little girl when it came to dual cultivation. It was like a naive little girl walking into a dark cave knowing what was on the other side and at the same time knowing nothing at all. When she reached the door to her room that was tightly enforced with soundproof formations, her heart began throbbing even harder and faster. After preparing himself, Su-Yang directly threw the red powder into his mouth and closed his eyes. Mere seconds later, his body began changing colors. His white, jade-like skin turned orange and red, looking as though he was a sword began forged. Smoke began emitting from his pores, and Su-Yang growled in pain from the burning sensation that was torturing every inch of his body. It felt as though his body had turned into a cauldron and there was something being created inside him. His beautiful black hair was literally burning, soon disappearing into the air. Even his robes were completely burned until there was nothing left, leaving him completely naked. It was at this moment the door to the room opened and Elderland walked inside. When she first saw the scene in Su-Yang's appearance, her heart nearly jumped out of her throat from fright. Su-Yang? Elderland tried to approach him, but the powerful heat and aura that surrounded Su-Yang kept her from approaching him. All of the anxiety and worry in Elderland's mind disappeared like smoke the moment she laid eyes on Su-Yang, who was completely naked and without a single hair on his body and looked as though he was being cooked alive. Many hours have passed since Elderland entered the room, yet Su-Yang remained the same, showing no signs of recovering anytime soon. And to Elderland, who has been keeping a close eye on him since the beginning, these few hours felt like an eternity. Suddenly, a powerful ripple filled with profound chi swept the room, causing Elderland, who felt the domineering and horrifying pressure within the ripple, to tremble in fear. The feeling she felt when the ripple touched her was not something a human could release. It felt more like an instinctive cry from a savage beast who craved for power. After the ripple disappeared, changes began appearing in Su-Yang's body. His red skin slowly returned to the formal condition, perhaps even purer and more beautiful. His burned hair began restoring in an incredible speed that could easily be noticed even with one's bare eyes. And Elderland watched all of this happen in front of her with wide eyes, looking mesmerized. Su-Yang slowly opened his eyes, and Elderland noticed a faint glow of a golden light that quickly vanished from his eyes almost instantly after it appeared. He slowly stood up, and a profound aura enveloped the room, causing the place to feel as though there was the presence of a divine entity inside the room. Su-Yang turned to look at Elderland, who stood there with her jaw wide open and looking hypnotized by the spectacular scenery. He smiled at her, not even bothering to hide the magnificent view of the bulging rod that stood upright in between his legs, like a domineering dragon soaring towards the heaven. In Elderland's eyes, this was definitely the most stunning and elegant scene she has ever witnessed.